Okay, so it's 12:01. I don't want to penalize people uh, who are on time. So so welcome. This is an information session, kind of a question and answer session for people interested in the Masters of Arts in Disability Studies or the Advanced Certificate Program in Disability Studies. I'm Mariette Bates. I'm the academic director of the Disability Studies program. And so I'm here to answer your questions, and you should have been able to download slides that kind of explain some things about the program. So I'm not going to go over those because you're all able to, to see what's there. But this is really a session for me to be able to answer questions that you have about the program. And I'll just start off by saying that, disability studies is to some extent a new academic discipline. I would say that, it really started in the 1970s after the Rehabilitation Act was passed, and people with mostly physical disabilities could come onto college campuses for the first time. So they started to think about academic subjects how they related to disability. And they started then to turn the lens of disability on whatever subject they were studying. So we had folks working in history and literature, in anthropology and sociology, in biomedical ethics, and in all of the subjects that kind of interact with disability. And of course, almost everything interacts with disability, including architecture and the built environment and city planning and so forth. So disability studies is an interdisciplinary subject, and we look at disability from a variety of standpoints in this program. So we have courses in disability history and courses in embodiment and disability. There is a course in narratives where we read memoirs and narratives of people who have a wide variety of disabilities. We have courses in disability as it relates to education, both K through 12 and higher education. There's a course in disability and diversity, which really covers overlaps of disability with race and gender, but also kind of the hierarchy of disability and how different groups of people with disabilities relate to each other. So that's just a little bit about the program. And our program is all online, which sometimes I get questions about that. The program is all online. It's so you don't ever have to come to campus unless you want to come to graduation. And usually we have a very nice ceremony at Lincoln Center, although I think probably this year they may cancel it, being in the epicenter of this epidemic. So that's a little bit about the program. In our Masters of Arts program, there are 10 courses that students complete in order to receive their MA degree. There are 6 required courses, and there are 4 electives that students can choose. And if you're interested in the Advanced Certificate program, there are 4 courses that are required to be completed in that program, 2 courses that are required, excuse me, and 2 electives. So, and the other thing that you should know is that if you are interested in the advanced certificate and you decide that you want to then go on and complete your master's degree, you can do so. Those courses for the advanced certificate will transfer into the MA program as long as you get a grade of B or better. So you can start out with the certificate, and if you decide you want to go on to the MA, you will have to reapply because it's considered a different program, but we can transfer those certificate courses in. So, so that's a little bit about the program. I should tell you that our faculty, they really come from a variety of disciplines that reflects the interdisciplinary nature of our program. So we have we have courses in disability law and policy, and they're taught by disability rights lawyers. We have courses that are taught by folks with disabilities. I would say about, since we're adjunct driven here, so any given semester we have between 40 and 50% of our faculty have disabilities. In general, about 30% of our students have disabilities. So we try to, we're very interested in accommodating students who have disabilities and making sure that they're successful in the program. So that's just a little overview of our program. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat box and I will read them off and answer them. So take a few minutes and type a question in. Remember, no question should be considered unaskable. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. Aha, here's one. Great. Hello from London. Does the master's degree include the certificate? It doesn't formally include the certificate, although occasionally we have students who would like both, and if they've completed the courses, then we would, the registrar usually will award them the certificate, but but it's not automatically included. You have to, you have to ask about it. You have to ask, you have to kind of make a special request for it. Okay, hi Hannah. Can I talk a little bit about what kind of careers people pursue following the program? A lot of what people do with this degree depends on their interests as they're coming into the program. So, for example, we have graduates that work in service agencies that provide services to people with disabilities, and usually they either stay in the same agency that they're working in, or sometimes they move to a different agency and have a different title and different responsibilities. Sometimes they stay in the same agency and they get a promotion. So we do have some people who work for service agencies, and and that's kind of their path. We have people who are interested in policy. So we have graduates who work for government agencies. We have people who work for the mayor's office for people with disabilities here in New York and in other parts of the country. They work for counterparts in public policy. We have people who have gone on to get their doctorates. So we do have a few people that pursue that. They want to teach. And so that's, the course that they take. We have some people working for advocacy organizations who have graduated from this program. A couple of people ended up working in disability services, but most of the people who are working in disability services have graduated from our other master's degree, which is about serving people with disabilities in colleges. So a lot of it depends on your interest when you come here, when you come in the program. It's not a program that, this is a Master's of Arts, so it doesn't prepare you to do a particular job. A lot of it depends on what you're doing when you enroll. But I will say that people do learn more about disability than they knew when they started, even people who've worked in the field quite a long time, and that they feel an increased sense of commitment. And they do often, enjoy career advancement in the field that they're in because they've achieved this degree. And they also make contacts. We have had people go to work for other people in the program. So that's a little bit. Suleiman, I'm going to ask your, having lived in the USA, let me read your question. Having lived in the USA for 10 years, I owed so much to America. Apart from the scary healthcare, it is somewhere I'll never forget. Back in London, Curry, a disabled entrepreneur. I'm interested in doing my master's and this looks amazing. Well, thanks. I'm glad that you shared that with us. I think you will, a lot of the public policy pieces that we talk about really deal with things as they are in the United States. One of the things we don't have yet in the program is a kind of a global disability course. It's probably one of the things that we should add. But you will find a lot of information that might be transferable, since a lot of our legal system came from Great Britain. Hi, Sheena. Is there a time constraint in being able to transfer the certificate? There isn't. We've had people that have graduated, several years ago, who then decide they want to come back and they apply to the master's degree and ask to have those courses transferred in, and we do so. So it's not something that you have to decide. If you're interested in the advanced certificate, you don't have to decide right now, but you can, you can decide that that's the path you want to do. Hi, Mayan. Whoops. Are the classes synchronous or asynchronous? Our classes are asynchronous, so usually students are not on at the same time. But I would say we have a lot of interaction with each other. Most of our professors respond to students every week. That is, they respond to each student every week in some way. A lot of the students engage with each other. We have people in our program that have become, real friends and still are in touch, even though they graduated, 4 or 5 years ago. And there's a lot of contact, more than you might imagine. I taught in person for quite a long time, and I usually had pretty big classes when I taught. And often there were, several students that I really, couldn't place. That is, I knew they were in my class, but I often couldn't put a name to the face. But I would say in my online classes, I get to know the students much better in many respects, because I interact with pretty much with each one every week. So some students, some instructors have a little bit less, don't respond to every single student every week, but they're all available. And we do have some professors who do have online sessions using Zoom or Blackboard Collaborate, where they actually have the students on, a couple of times for optional sessions so they can ask questions of the professor. One of the things we have in our online platform now is this program called Blackboard Collaborate, and we've been using it for student hours. So every professor has a dedicated hour every week when they are online, and they're able to video chat with students. They can use phone calls, but they can also video chat. So we have the ability to do that through the Blackboard, which is our platform, our learning platform that we use. We also can use Zoom. We have a Zoom license, and some people use telephones or use Skype. But every professor is, has those dedicated student hours every single week for people to come and talk to professors, and sometimes other students come on too. So there's like a little group. So there's a lot of opportunities. Oh, some of our courses also have group work. Not all of them do, but some do. So you get to know people that way as well. Hi, Stephanie. You work in higher ed. It looks like the MS would be more suited for me. I'd like to start with the certificate program and decide later if you want to continue with the second master's. Excuse me, I'm hoarse here. The certificate student, would the certificate program be able to be applied to the MS? It does not articulate to the MS. It articulates to the MA degree. And that's really because it was the advanced certificate program was our first disability studies program. So we started with an advanced certificate, and we thought that people who took the advanced certificate could be in other master's programs, and then like with rehabilitation counseling or social work or neuroscience, and they would come in and learn about the social model of disability and then transfer those credits back into their other master's program. And then we created the Masters of Arts program, so that certificate program articulates to the MA. Having said that, if you're interested in the MS degree, you should probably enroll in that. The MA degree has the overlap of 2 courses with the MS. So the first course, the foundational course, DSAB 601, Psychosocial, Cultural, and Political Aspects of Disability, is a course that is in the MA and also in the MS. And there's a course called Disability and Diversity, which is a required course in the MA and it's an elective in the MS program. But those at the moment are the only two that really are, are able to apply to each. I have put in paperwork to our program evaluation committee here at SPS to create an MS certificate. But it was going to the program committee, and then we got this virus lockdown that we're in. So I think they're going to take it up, but it might take a while for it to get approved, because it goes to a kind of a committee in here of like our associate deans that want to know if it's a viable program and stuff, and then I'll get the okay to write the proposal, which won't take that long because it's a pretty straightforward proposal. But then it goes to our governing council, and then it has to go to a committee of our board of trustees, and then to the full board of trustees, and then to state ed for approval. So depending on when all those meetings are scheduled, it could take, if I got the okay to write the proposal now, it could take till next spring to be able to launch it. So so it's not going to happen probably for at least a year, maybe not till 2022. So so that's my answer. It doesn't articulate, and but there is hopefully going to be this other certificate. But I think if you're interested in the MS, you should just apply to it. I'm going to do a session about the MS just right after this session. So if you're interested, you can access that as well. Yeah, we do have, so the question is, are graduates working in digital accessibility? We do have a graduate who does work in that. He works for the mayor's office for people with disabilities, and that's what he does. I think we may have a couple of other graduates who do that, but we don't have, we have courses in assistive technology in our other Masters of Science program, but we don't have a course in that specifically in this program. So if you're interested in technology and assistive technology, the MS program might be more appropriate for you, Muriel. Okay, Abigail has a question. How are courses typically structured? Usually what happens is that, as I said, they're asynchronous. They start on, usually they start on a Monday. Some professors start on a different day, but mostly they start on Monday. And so some of our courses use textbooks. Not all of them do, but many of them do. So on Monday, the materials are organized in a folder, and they're labeled by the day and so forth. So, that they relate to the topics and the dates that they relate to, that relates to the syllabus that is posted in your course site. So you click on the folder, and there are usually learning outcomes for that week that are there. There are then activities to do. So you may have a chapter to read in the textbook. You may have posted readings, particularly for our zero textbook courses, but also as supplemental readings to the texts. So those are there. Sometimes there are videos to watch, or sometimes there are projects to do, research projects and so forth. So you start to work with those materials, and usually by Thursday, we ask students to post an initial reaction to the readings. We use discussion forums, and there are usually prompts in those forums that students respond to, so that relate to the topic that you're looking at that week. And so we ask students to post an initial reaction to the reading or the materials on Thursday, and to respond to at least 2 classmates by Sunday night. Usually if there are papers or projects that are due, they're due on Sunday night. But the syllabus is pretty clear in our courses, so it's quite clear that you would know what you had to do in advance, beginning in the course. So we don't usually surprise students with late, projects and so forth. We usually when you access the course, when you log into the course sites, you'll see the landing page is called announcements, and that's where the the instructor communicates to the whole class. So it's kind of the equivalent of, you know, an in-person instructor showing up and, you know, and saying, you know, I want to remind you that you have a paper due this week, or did you see this article in the paper about healthcare and disabilities, or, you know, something like that. So it's something that people draw attention to. Sometimes they use the announcement to summarize what the topic was for the week and people's reactions, and to kind of talk a little bit about what's you're going to look at in the coming week. There are assignments that people complete that you upload. Most students on the grad level, most students don't take exams. We use, you know, we write. And sometimes students are given the choice of assignments. So you can do a video or a paper or a project, a PowerPoint or something like that, depending on your learning style and what you need. And most courses have final papers. They usually don't have exams, but that's kind of how they're structured. We have a 15-week semester, except for the summer, which is a 7-week semester. So our courses in the summer tend to be electives because they're, you know, shorter term, shorter duration. So I hope that answers your question, Abigail. What specifically can you do with an MA? I think I answered that. I'm not sure if you were there for it. You know, a lot of it depends, as I said, on what you bring to the program. We have people working in service agencies that have gotten a promotion, Some of them are, in New York at least, they've changed the service coordination system. So in order to be a supervisor of service coordinators, you need a master's degree. Some people work in public policy, some work in advocacy organizations of a variety of sorts, you know, typical variety, some with folks with intellectual disabilities, some with folks in the mental health system. So there's a variety of things that people do with this master's degree, but it's not, you know, our other masters, our Masters of Science program prepares people specifically to work in providing accommodations to college students, right? So we teach you the things that you need to know to do that. This is a Masters of Arts program. It's an interdisciplinary program that takes a general look at interactions between society and disabilities. So, so we don't look at specific disabilities. This is not a program that teaches you how to work with folks on the autism spectrum. What we do is instead is to prepare you to critically examine the service system as it interacts with people on the autism spectrum, and that, I think, is kind of the value of these kinds of programs. Are there adjunct or community college teaching opportunities with the MA? How many apply and how many are accepted? We do have people who have graduated who are teaching with an MA degree, particularly in community colleges. You know, they might like you to have a PhD, but many people don't have it. So we do have people that have our masters who are teaching in other colleges, some four-year colleges. I will say there are more disability studies degrees coming online than there used to be. So so there are some opportunities here and there, but I don't want to mislead you. Disability studies is not a household word, although it's becoming more popular in universities, and there are more bachelor's degrees and master's degrees being developed all the time. It's not as easy as getting a job in another, you know, in another field might be. But yes, there are teaching opportunities, and with master's degrees, you can teach in community colleges. And there are adjunct jobs. I mean, some of the people who've graduated with our masters teach in our program. So how many applicants apply and how many are accepted is the question. To tell you the truth, you know, I accept many of the people who apply. My main my main question when the admissions committee looks at applications is, Do we think that this particular student can be successful in the program, and do they understand what disability studies is? I think we're a public institution here at CUNY, so I try to give access to these courses to as many people as I can. But having said that, you know, we do have people who apply to the program and they say in their personal statement, I want this master's degree because I want to teach special ed. And this program will not prepare you to teach special ed. You have to go to a master's program that teaches you how to, you know, teach special ed and will prepare you to get your teaching license. So this is not going to do that, right? This is not going to prepare you to be a social worker or a rehab counselor. So I want to make sure that students who apply to this program understand what the program is. I don't want people to have buyer's remorse when they're 2 semesters in, right? So, so that's really, you know, the main consideration the admissions committee looks at. We do look at the personal statement, and we do look at GPA. It's not the determinant. We do occasionally accept students who have less than a 3.0 and have a lot of experience in the field. We understand that sometimes people got their bachelor's degree, you know, 20 years ago and then found themselves working in the disability field and have responsible positions, know a lot about the subject, and we don't want to not give those people access because they got a bachelor's degree in a subject that, you know, might be not relevant now. But we do look at the personal statement carefully, and we do look at your letters of recommendation, and we do look at transcripts, because even if a person has, you know, a 2.8 GPA, maybe they didn't do well in courses that are relevant to this particular degree, in which case we might have questions about it. So I guess that's the question. You know, we accept, you know, a lot of people in this program because I want to give people access. I think it's a good program. I think it prepares people to be better advocates in the field or to better understand the complexity of disability. So I look for reasons to admit people, not for reasons to just not to admit them. So I hope that answers your question. How long does it take students to complete? Muriel, that depends on you more than it depends on me, because we ask students not to take more than 2 classes a semester. Most of our students are working, many of them have families, and it's a rigorous program. Some students can't manage more than 1 course a semester, so so that's what they take. Some people, you know, want to take 3 courses a semester, and to be honest, usually that they end up dropping a course or they end up not doing well in the courses. So we don't recommend that you take more than 2. We do offer courses in the summer. So if you start in the fall and you take 2 classes and you take 2 in the spring semester and 1 class in the summer, you can be out of the program with your degree in 2 years' time. So, but many students don't want to take summer classes, so it takes them 2.5 years. But that depends on you. You can register for 1 class or 2 classes. We do have, you know, this is a program for adults, so we do have people that, you know, encounter challenges while they're in the program, and they end up taking longer because they either step out for a semester or they end up taking 1 fewer class or so forth. So, hi, are there opportunities to meet, conferences? You attended the Abilities Expo in Boston this year. You know, we have lectures, webinars and lectures and stuff, but our, you know, our students are all over the country, and some of them don't have the ability to come anywhere in person. So this is really an online program. And we haven't done a disability studies conference, but we could, and we do encourage people to, you know, we let students know about other conferences. For example, starting, I think, early next week, there's a Society for Disability Studies conference. It's usually at Ohio State now, and I think it has online options. So you should check out the Society for Disability Studies. because they'd usually have an in-person conference, but of course this year it's going to be virtual. Olivia, what kind of accommodations? You know, we have a student services office, and they provide whatever, you know, what students need. So some students get extra time. I think that mostly since we don't have tests, you know, the accommodation, depending on what disability a student has or needs accommodations with, you know, some students get extra time for assignments. We occasionally, you know, we try to make each of our course sites accessible. So we try to subscribe to universal design principles. So we don't usually have to, you know, most of our readings are accessible, our videos are captioned, and so forth. So it depends on what students need. We get texts electronically if students need them. So that's an issue really between the student and our disability services office. Usually what happens is that students work with the disability service office, and they are given an accommodation letter that then they transmit to the faculty that has their accommodations listed. Hi, Hannah. I think I said that they usually take 2 classes a semester and 1 in the summer, but many students really don't. You know, if they have families, they may want to go on vacation in August and not take classes. I mean, if they want to go on vacation in July and not take classes, then they may get tired and just want to take the summer off. But if they want to take classes in the summer, we do offer them. Hi, Stephanie. You're welcome. Would this MA combined with a paralegal provide one with the opportunity to work in some capacity at a disability rights agency in the city? You know, I don't really know the answer to that because I don't know what those offices require. I think that question might be better addressed to, you know, to New York lawyers or to disability rights. Certainly they probably need paralegals, but I can't really answer that. I think it does give you a more in-depth view and understanding of disability. And certainly the paralegal certificate would be useful. But I think it might be a better question addressed to them. You were haha. Okay. You were joking. Okay. Are there scholarship grant opportunities? We don't have grants. We do have some limited scholarship money, and there is a page on our website for scholarships. So I would take a look at that. We do have scholarships directly that are applicable to the Disability Studies program. So the Cassane Scholarship in particular. So the scholarships they're competitive, and they're, you know, and they're limited. So we're not able to give anybody a free ride in this program, but we can give you, you know, substantial tuition reduction for one course, perhaps. So check out the page. Financial aid, yes, if you take 2 courses a semester, you're considered I think half-time in master's programs, and you can get student loans. It's not financial aid in the same way that, say, Pell and TAP, you know, aid is available, but you can take loans out if you take 2 courses a semester. And our financial aid office has all that information. So I would suggest that you contact them now early on and find out what your options are. They're pretty good at knowing that stuff. We do have international students. We have students from Canada, although some people, I don't want to insult my Canadian students, but I lived in Canada. It was very much like the US in many respects, with some important differences. But we have students, we've had students in Africa, in France, in the Philippines, in Belgium, in Geneva, in Switzerland, so a variety of places, in Brazil. So yes, we do have international students. Trent is asking if credits of ASL, 3 credits of ASL will transfer in. No, I can't accept those credits. And thank you for telling me that there's another question, another page in another course, but it's because in order to transfer credits in, the courses would need to be substantially similar to the courses that we already have. So, so for example, Hunter College has a course in their special ed, courses that's called, I think it's called Cultural, Psychosocial, and Political Aspects of Disability, and it looks very similar to our DSAB 601 course. So I accept those as credits, but I probably would not be able to accept the ASL credits. Do we have any international students? I think I answered that. Yes, you can still apply if you're not based in the US, and we do, the tuition still applies. So we would still give you in-state tuition as if you lived in New York State, because we're an online program. You're welcome, Muriel. Yeah, so this is ASL as an elective. So I think I answered that. This is great to know, Olivia. Okay. Other questions? Let me go down. We're getting near the end of our time here. So I just wanted to let you know, I mean, that Tamara Colon and I are available to answer your questions. So if you have any, don't hesitate to ask them. The best way to find us these days is by email, because we're all working from home. But we're happy to, we're available to you, and we're really happy to accommodate you. I think that this webinar is being recorded, so that you should be able to, we'll be able to give you a link afterwards. It takes a couple of days for it to process and for us to caption it, but you can get this, and we will send the link out to everybody who attended. Other questions? Okay. If your undergraduate degree doesn't include quantitative research, it's not. As long as you have a bachelor's degree from an accredited university, because this is an interdisciplinary degree, we don't, we're happy to have people with bachelor's from a variety of subjects. And our research methods class is qualitative research. We do touch on quantitative research, but it's not a statistics course. It's qualitative research, which is kind of more appropriate to social services. Yeah, states get in-state tuition because it's online. So so it's something that we can do for our international students and our students who live in other states. So it's one of the advantages here. CUNY's, we do get a tuition increase every every so often, but we're still a bargain, I think, in terms of graduate programs. So yes, we can give you that. Other questions? Here we go. Alexa, can you still apply with pending spring or summer BA grades? Yes, you can. What happens is you apply, and we look at your information, and if we think you're a good candidate from the program, what we'll do is give you, sometimes we give you a conditional admit, and it's conditional upon your giving us your final transcript if you're graduating in the spring or in the summer. So what that means is that you, we'll kind of hold up your registration until we get that transcript, but yes, you can still be admitted. I'm interested in working with the deaf community. Hi Trent, if you look at our courses, you'll see that one of the things that we try not to do in this program is to single out a particular disability. So we don't have deaf studies courses. We incorporate issues related to the deaf community in our courses, but we don't specifically single out the deaf community, or this isn't, you know, or work in deaf studies. So if you're interested in working with the deaf community, you might look at Gallaudet as a different choice for you. Because our curriculum does not have, we don't have a course in deaf studies, and we, as I said, we touch on it, but we don't privilege it among other disabilities. For example, you won't see a course in intellectual disabilities or a course in autism spectrum disorder, or this is basically interactions of disability in society on a kind of a theoretical level to some extent. So so I would think about it, you know, Gallaudet may be a better choice for you. Okay, Alexa, if you apply by the regular hi, Suleiman, if you apply by the regular deadline, we still will consider your application. I think that one of the things that we like to do is have as many people set, you know, and to know that they're accepted to the program, and to have them accept us, so we know how to, you know, that we need to create accounts for them and give them enough time to set up financial, you know, loans and so forth. So, so we try to get everybody in early, but no, you won't have, we look at all those applications the same. So it's not like we're going to privilege the people who apply early. You won't have less of a chance if you apply by that deadline. If you apply by April 6th, you know, we have an admissions committee that we will get together. So so we'll meet virtually, I guess. And so probably I would say within a couple of weeks after that deadline, and that's assuming all your documents are in. Sometimes what happens is that people submit their application, but we're still waiting for a transcript or waiting for a letter of recommendation from them. So so assuming that your application is complete, it shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks for you to hear. We had this funny thing happen, which I think admissions may have rectified at this point, but we had this glitch in our application system, so that for a while we couldn't communicate with students, and I think they fixed it at this point. But people were waiting, you know, a longer time to hear from us. I understand that they have now rectified the issue, though, so so there shouldn't be a problem. And what happens is our admissions committee reviews the applications. We communicate our decisions to the admissions office, and then the communication comes from them. So so if they have a backlog, it could take a little longer, but usually usually you hear pretty promptly. When choosing people to write letters of recommendation, whose perspective are you most looking for? Well, this is graduate school, and what we really are looking for is people who can attest to your ability to do graduate level work. So it could be a supervisor if you're employed. It could be a former professor that you've had. Someone who has seen you in a supervisory capacity where they're evaluating your work. So no letters from best friends, mothers, aunts or uncles, please. I'm saying that it's a joke, but we did actually have people who had their mothers write them a letter of recommendation. So so it needs to essentially be someone who can you know, attest to the fact that you can do the work of needed in graduate school. So I hope that helps, Abigail. Other questions? Okay. Okay, well, if you have other questions, please don't hesitate to contact Tamara Colon or me. We're happy to answer your questions at any point. And you know, and I hope you're staying safe. And I'm really happy that you've all, you know, come on this webinar and chosen to get this additional information. I hope that we see you in the program. I think it's a really good program. Our faculty are terrific. And our graduates are out there doing good things every day, you know, for people and with people with disabilities. And so I hope you'll join us and become one of our stellar alumni. So I'm going to sign off now, and please don't hesitate to contact us, and stay safe.